What's up guys, my name's Liam and today we're going to be taking a look at the Musashi Gear and Strahfe Void mousepad. Strahfe is by far one of my favorite streamers to watch when it comes to Call of Duty, but does he know how to make a mousepad? And more importantly, is this going to be the perfect mousepad for you? Let's check it out. Before we get started today, I did want to let you know this was sent out to me for review. However, everything you'll be hearing in this video are going to be my own words and my own opinions. This did arrive to my front door flat package in this envelope style sleeve. Here's what the front looks like, and here's what the artwork looks like on the back. It has this iconic artwork on it. It looks very clean and sharp, and the dimensions are coming in at 530 millimeters in width by 440 millimeters in height, and it is sitting at 3 millimeters in thickness. They did go with a uniform high density rubber base, and it is similar to something that comes on the Zowie G-SR-SE or the Zowie G-SR-2, and it is a nice touch to kind of step away from the pour-on. As much as I love the pour-on, I have no issues with this sticking to my desk, and it performs greatly. The stitching on my copy also does look and feel very premium, and it does sit below the surface. They did put their logo up here in the top right corner, but it is also printed on here just like this graphic, so there is nothing that raises up off the surface that you can actually feel with your mouse. And I do want to say, even though it does have this printed graphic on here, there was never a single time when I was using this where I felt like there was any inconsistency caused by the printing or the graphic on here. It really felt consistent all the way throughout. And coming in at 3 millimeters, the base does feel a little bit more firm, something more similar to a mid-style base. However, there still is a little bit of plushness there. You can still slightly push into it if you need some additional control or stopping power. And the surface does feel incredibly smooth and soft. It has an equal glide along the X and Y axis, and even though there is a slight bit of texture there, it just overall to me feels really soft on my skin. It never bothered my forearm when I was using it. And the properties I would define as a control pad. It does have a little bit of static friction there. I don't feel like it feels too muddy, but when you are going back and forth and making the micro adjustments or the corrections, it does have a little bit more tugging than something like my Lethal Gaming Gear Saturn Pro. Though the performance isn't too far off, I do feel like it does have a slight bit greater sense of control, and it does have a smooth glide across the surface, and the more that you push into it, the more that it does slow down and give you a greater sense of stopping power. And as I've been doing in all my videos, all this testing was done with the Logitech G Pro Superlight 2 and the Tiger Ice V2 skates. And the one thing I found pretty unique about the Surface is I really feel like it performs very consistent regardless on what skates you're using. I was testing it out with the dot skates, I was testing out glass skates, sapphire skates, and you know, there is obviously some slight differences in the properties, but overall it never felt like this pad felt too different with either one. And you know, the dot skates are just a little bit quicker, but again, when you're using them, you still get an overall similar experience without it changing too dramatically. And when it comes to the comparison, I'm only actually going to be really comparing it to one mouse pad today, because the second I opened this up and took it out of the box, it really reminded me a lot of the performance of the Zowie G-SR-SE. The G-SR-SE does come rolled up, and even though I've had this thing for months, it still curls up on the edges for me, and the base does sit at 3.5 millimeters versus the Void sitting at 3 millimeters. And as you're gliding across the surface and making the micro adjustments, really the feeling of these two are very similar to one another. With the G-SR-SE being such an iconic pad, I really do feel like this kind of takes a more premium approach to a G-SR-SE. And even though the properties of both of these feel very similar, I do feel like on the Void it does have a greater sense of static friction, so you do get a little bit more control down in the micro adjustments, and it does have a little bit of a slower glide. So when comparing these next to each other, even though the properties of them that feel incredibly similar as far as the surface goes, I would say that overall that the Void is just a little bit more controlled on both the dynamic and the static friction. And when you go from the Void to the G-SR-SE, immediately you do notice that it does feel a little bit quicker. So let's go ahead and drop the speed comparison between the Void and the G-SR-SE. Alright guys, so that about wraps things up with the Musashi Gear and Strahfe Void. With the G-SR-SE being one of the most iconic mouse pads of all time for first-person shooters, the fact that this kind of feels, in my opinion, like a updated and a more premium version. It comes flat packed, it has incredible stitching around the edges, has this incredible looking graphic on it. I really do feel like if you are looking for the same type of performance as I described in this video today, that this is all around a win. Alright guys, so if you have any questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed watching this video and you're interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.